We are rising up, up, up to a higher place. This one is by Daniel Namod, and I encourage you to sing along with me. Up, up, up to a higher place. Up, 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 far beyond this time and space. Up, up, up to a higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. Would you sing that with me? Up, up, up to a higher place. Up, 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 far beyond this time and space. Up, up, up to a higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. A higher place, higher place, higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. No more forward, backwards. No more backwards spinning. No more spinning around and around. My life is moving. My life is moving ever upwards. My feet are leaving the ground. Here we go. Up, up, up to a higher place. Come on, everybody. Up, 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 far beyond this time and space. Up, up, up to a higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. Higher place. A higher place. A higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. Downward. No more downward darkness. No more darkness. No more wondering the point of it all. My life is destined. My life is destined for greatness. Oh, for greatness. My soul has answered the call. Here we go. Up, 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 up to a higher place. Come on now. Up, 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 far beyond this time and space. Up, up, up to a higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. A higher place. A higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. Higher place. A higher place. Come on now. A higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place.
That was beautiful. Thank you, Deidrey. Well, we're using recordings again today because Deidrey is doing live music for a church in Canada that normally has a choir, and they gave the choir a month off, so she took 2 Sundays, and she's not going to be with us. She'll be back next week, and I'm excited for that. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I got accused of using my shirt as a prop today by our board president. She comes in, she's like, "Oh, I love your shirt." Is that part of your talk? Now, would I ever stoop so low as to do that? I would. You're right. So, I was going through my closet. What am I going to wear tomorrow? And I saw this shirt, and I'm like, I wore this at Christmas time because I thought it would be fun for my nephew, now 6 years old. The one that was here visiting a couple weeks ago, and I hadn't worn it since then. And who knows who Marie Kondo is? Anybody done the Marie Kondo thing in your life? No, you're supposed to take everything that you have and you go, "Oh, does this bring me joy? Should I keep it?" And if not, then you bless it and you release it, right? Well, I had this hanging in my closet, and it's a beautiful shirt. I mean, it's those of you that are online, you probably can't tell because the camera's kind of far away. These are Santa Clauses. So when Lisa said Christmas in July, you're probably wondering, What is she talking about? These are little Santa Clauses all over my shirt today. And I realized this shirt is just taking up space in my closet and thus taking up space in my life. And so I needed to wear it, right? Because some people are like, if you haven't worn it in 6 months, you're supposed to get rid of it, right? This has been a little longer than 6 months. So I decided to wear a Christmas shirt today. How much stuff do you have in your life that you're like, it's just taking up space that you're not really using? Well, if that happens to you too, because it happens to me, right? We just said it, I put the truth into action in my life. How much truth do we have in our lives that we don't put into action? Does that ever happen? Right? Yeah, that happens to me occasionally too. So this morning's talk is called The Sermon from Within. The Sermon from Within. We're going to try something new today, and Susie's going to pop a slide up here on the screen behind me so you'll be able to see it. That might be too small. I'm going to have to play with that next time. This, just so you know, this is from Matthew 7. It's verses 28 and 29. And this is where this title comes from. Now, when Jesus had finished saying these words, the crowds were astonished at his teaching, for he taught them as one having authenticity and not as their scribes. All right, this is the end of the Sermon on the Mount. Don't worry if you don't remember it. We're going to go through it today. It's going to be exciting. So the Sermon from Within, see, the reason that people are astounded by what Jesus teaches is because he is telling the truth from within. See, when we speak from that divine wisdom that lives in us, when we come forth as that presence of love, it can astound people. Have you ever astounded people? I walked into the convenience store this morning and I said, "Happy Sunday," and I did not, and did you see he's wearing a Santa Claus shirt? And it is 90 degrees outside, right? And so we get to live the truth we know in everything we do. See, that's our invitation from our way shower. Right, to set the scene is, Jesus has been wandering around Galilee and he's been healing people and he's been teaching stuff. I hear he turned water into wine, right? And so there are throngs of people that are following him. And so he decides to teach. And he astounds them because he shows up as the truth of who he is. That this is another interpretation of that scripture from the Message. I've mentioned the Message before, and I love its interpretation. When Jesus concluded his address, the crowd burst into applause. They had never heard teaching like this. It was apparent that he was living everything he was saying. Quite a contrast to their religious teachers. This was the best teaching they had ever heard. We know, it resonates with us when someone shows up in our life and they stand firm in that teaching that is the truth and that they're actually walking their walk, right? You've met people like that, right? That when they walk their walk, it feels good to be in their presence, right? Because we can all sense hypocrisy, right? We can all sense hypocrisy. This is an important message. This is where, Todd's going to get political, right? Because in the days of Israel, the religious leaders were also the politicians, right? They were the ones that were defining the law. So if you see, and I see it everywhere I look these days, that people say one thing and do another, right? Sometimes that makes me very angry. Anybody else get angry about stuff like that? It's like, grandmama's pinching my arm again. There must be a place in my life where I'm saying one thing and doing another, and I need to heal that. Right? So it's important to look and see, okay, this astonishing teaching that people jumped up and started clapping, that we look at that. Because there's wisdom here for us. Eternal wisdom. Because what we know is that which is true in spirit does not expire. Right? It's not going to change. Everything here in this manifest world is data, and things here change, right? Everything in the manifest world changes. And so we have to expand our consciousness to know truth. Yes? So we're going to look at truth today. And so I turned for some inspiration to Emmett Fox's book, The Sermon on the Mount. People that did the recent Bible study we finished, we're going to start a new book. We haven't picked out the book yet, but this is one that I really love, and I want to read you just a brief section here. Jesus concerned himself exclusively with the teachings of general principles, and these general principles always had to do with mental states. For he knew that if one's mental states are right, everything else must be right too. Whereas if these mental states are wrong, nothing can be right. I feel that. Unlike the other great religious teachers, Jesus gives no detailed instructions about what we are to do or are not to do. He does not tell us either to eat or to drink, or to refrain from eating or drinking certain things, or to carry out various ritual observances at certain times and seasons. Indeed, the whole current of his teaching is anti-ritualistic and anti-formalistic. He has little patience at any time with the Jewish priesthood and its theory of salvation through the temple observances. Wow. Jesus is teaching us about a mental way of being. Not what we're supposed to do or not do. And so let's look at that today, because, the Sermon on the Mount, that's where we get the Beatitudes. Anybody remember the Beatitudes? The blessed is this and blessed is that. Remember that? Susie, let's go to that next slide, right? Again, Jesus is wandering around Galilee, and he's healing people, and he's turning water into wine, and he's teaching, and throngs of people are following him around. When Jesus saw the crowds, he went up the mountain, and after he sat down, his disciples came to him, and he began to speak and taught them. Right? Let's look at that metaphysically. Remember, we just sang that song, Up, Up, Up to a Higher Place. Going up the mountain means we go to an elevated place in consciousness. We move from our humanity and we move into our divinity. We expand our consciousness. We go up the mountain. Jesus goes up the mountain so that he knows who he is. It's what, because he goes up the mountain, and he does it all the time, right? He goes up the mountain. He knows I and the Father are one. I and the Father are one. See, this experience, when we think that God is something out there and not this indwelling presence that shows up as us, right? We're looking for something out there to save us. But when we identify with what Jesus is teaching us and we go up on the mountain, we can know our own divinity. We can know the truth of who we are. And then I love this next part. He goes up on the mountain, and after he sits down, after he becomes settled in the truth of who he is, his disciples come to him and they sit down, right? Everybody sits down. He brings his disciples. Well, what do we know about the disciples? It's quiz time. What do we know about our disciples? There are faculties, our 12 powers of man, right? So when we know that we know who we are, our faculties are present and can be directed. When our faculties are present and we can be directed, then we can stand in dominion, the power of power, our dominion, and hold forth the truth. Not only the truth of who we are, but the truth of who you are, and the truth of who you are and you. And we get to know that the Christ is present as me, but also the Christ is present as you. Yes? That's who we are. All of us. And so we have to do these mental gymnastics, right? We have to do these mental exercises, these mental practices, spiritual practices to live the truth we know, right? And so, Susie, that next slide, these are going to be the Beatitudes. We're going to look at these. And then we can talk about them later if you want to. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Have you ever been in a community that sort of thought, oh, you should be poor. Being poor is righteous, right? No. Being poor in spirit, right? See, being poor in spirit. Have you? I know that you've heard the story of the apprentice who goes to the guru and they're gonna have tea. He's like, I am here to learn from you. I'm here to learn. Let me tell you what I already know, but I'm here to learn. And so the master starts pouring a cup of tea, and he just keeps pouring and keep pouring, and tea is overflowing the cup and it's overflowing the saucer. And the apprentice is like, what are you doing? Stop. You're spilling tea. If your cup is already full, then, see, if you think you already have it all, if you think you know it all, then there's no place. See, if you are already full of yourself, there is no room for the Holy Spirit to show up in your life. If you are concentrating on your egoic mind and what this personality wants, and you don't open up to Spirit, then you're not making room for the Christ of your presence. Right? And if we truly believe that I am love, right? That we have this love and that all we are is love. All that I am is love. Right? And we know that God is love and there is unlimited God and good in this world, then we should just be able to give our love away, right? Because we're never going to run out. It's like we're in this wellspring of love that never gives out. So we just get to give our love away. Let's go to the next slide, Susie. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted, right? Has anybody ever said that to you and you wanted to maybe, I don't know, punch him in the throat? Right? Here's an interesting thing about this, about the word blessed. Blessed also can translate to mean happy. Happy, joyful. Joyful are those that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Like what? See, if we attach onto this idea that when something bad happens, it's the end, and don't realize that every ending is a beginning, right? Then we're going to suffer, right? Because we're attached to something. But when we know that every ending here in this manifest world is truly a beginning, either here or in spirit, we can be comforted, we can be joyful, because we know that even the most egregious loss that we experience here, when we lose a loved one, right? When we lose a loved one and we think that's it, if we know the truth and we know that life is eternal, then we can be joyful knowing that in truth, the love that they are continues. Right? The love that they are continues, and we can find comfort in that. See, truly, this idea of heartbreak, when we think the world is ending because our heart is broken, heartbreak is merely that crust that envelops our heart and makes it hard to love. It's it cracking open to let the light in and to let the light out. See, the only comfort that we can have is in the truth. That love is all that there is. Our next one, Susie, is blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Right? You ever wondered about that one? Like, what on earth does that mean? Right? What this is about hubris. Right? It's about pride. It's about ambition. It's about covetousness, right? See, those that want it all for themselves in this manifest world are keeping others from having stuff. They think that if Lori has this thing I want, that means I can't have it, right? But what do we know about the universe? We know that it is unlimited good and unconditional love. There is no limit. And so when we are meek, when we realize that someone else having something does not limit the good I can receive, right? Because good is not like chocolate meringue pie, right? There is unlimited chocolate meringue pie. If we focus on the one that's right here and the last slice is gone and it means I can't have any more, well, it's because you're forgetting there's another one in the icebox, right? There's always enough in spirit. And so we are meek in that we don't covet things. We don't desire to have it all because it makes us better, right? We cannot separate. We cannot set ourselves apart because that is not the truth of oneness. Yes? It's not the truth of oneness. The next one is, blessed are they who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Righteousness. Do you want to know the Christ of your being? It's a question. Talk back to me. Do you want to know the Christ of your being? See, if you are thirsting to know the truth, right? Then it is open to us. But when we nonchalantly just walk around in this amazing manifest world, well, we don't really get to be happy. We don't know our blessings because we think that this is what it's about. This manifest material experience about having the things, right? Having, enough shirts that you don't have to wear your Christmas shirt in July. But it's not about the stuff. Right? It's about love. Right? Because one day this shirt will disintegrate. But the love that I am and the love that you are will live on eternally. I'm going to stop today after the next one. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Right? Got to wandering a little bit, and I'm going over time, and somebody's going to want to go to lunch. And We get to be happy when we're merciful. We get to be joyful when we show up with mercy in this world. Right? But what do we mean by this idea of merciful? When we condemn other people, we condemn ourselves. Right? Because at the level of spirit, we're all one. I love it when people they say it for me. Maybe that's going to be one of the Toddisms. I don't know, but we're all one. We are all one. Say that with me. We are all one. In spite of the appearances in this manifest material, beautiful playground we call earth and life, the level of spirit, we are one. And so when we identify somebody out there who's, they must be crazy because they walked in and they went, "Happy Sunday," and they're wearing a Santa Claus shirt, right? We are separating ourselves from the Christ of our being. And so we want to know the truth and we want to be merciful. We want to meet everyone we see as the Christ of their being. Yes? And so it is. I invite you to make sure this week that you don't have spiritual practices hanging in the closet that you're not using. Right? Because if you just show up on Sunday, it's just a hobby. Spiritual practices make our life better. And that's why we're here. I love you, friends.
This is one of my favorite songs by Suke Riley. Let there be less of me, more of the divine. Let there be less of me. Let there be more of thee. Less of the human, more of the divine. Less that belongs to me, more that is thine. More of God's nature and less that is mine. there be more of thee, less of the